podcast.
Here we go. Hello, around the block and around the world. This is where we discuss, debate, and deliberate all things diabetes. My name is Dobie Maxwell, representing type 2, proudly representing type 1, the vivacious, effervescent, always in the know, Miss Sami Parker. We'll get to Sami in seconds, but first, today's episode of Just My Type, brought to you by the Diabetes app, a free social community app that brings together both type 1 and type 2 diabetics, plus their supporters. Find community, resources, and Sami and me on the Diabetes app.
All right, Dobie, we are going to talk about a girly topic today. The menstrual cycle.
You know, I knew we were going in there, and it's not a motorcycle, and it's my job as a comedian to poke fun and make jokes, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to be polite because I think every man needs to listen. Don't tune out. This is an educational episode, and I know you know what you're talking about, so I'm going to shut my mouth and let you go.
On behalf of me, I still ask that you still make the jokes with me because I think they're funny. So,
thank you. You're the one.
Attention, listeners. These jokes are not aimed towards you. Dobie was trying to be polite. These jokes will be aimed towards me because I ask. He has some fun.
Completely personal. No.
Okay.
But seriously, it is an education, so let's go.
It is, yeah. Basically, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because when I was diagnosed with diabetes, they didn't really tell me like how much the menstrual cycle played a role. And I didn't get my period till I was about right before I went into high school. So I got lucky, but the first 2 years of diabetes, 7th and 8th grade, I got to like figure it out without it. But then when I got my period, it was like the end of the world because I didn't understand that your blood sugars are really, really, really high.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you're just drinking water when you're taking insulin. It's like inserting water and nothing's happening. And I wish somebody would have told me that. People definitely did, but one of the doctors I was going to at the time was just like, just increase your insulin to 5 units. I'd be like, okay, you're not understanding. Like it's not working no matter how much insulin I take.
Was this a male doctor that asked that?
Yes, it was.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like something that was really tough for me because I was just like, I don't know right now like where to go from this. I didn't have a regular period. So it was just like there were so many different things that were basically working against me, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really know how to deal with it because I was like, oh my gosh. And I had PCOS, which was my over fatigue and my adrenal glands. So there were so many things and I was so insulin resistant. But the reason it's important is because during different phases of the menstrual cycle, basically you will need different insulin needs and you'll need probably to adjust and be like aware that there's going to be different parts of the day or like of those days in your menstrual cycle that you're going to need to take different insulin needs and whatnot. So, Dobie, do you know any of the parts of the menstrual cycle?
Do I know parts of it?
Can you tell me the 4 phases or no?
I can't tell you the parts of a motorcycle. So I'm going to let you. All I know is every woman I've been around, I just learned to shut my mouth and go in the other room because if I don't, it's going to be hell to pay.
Very good.
That's what I know as a compliant male. And seriously, I have empathy. I do. And I think that as a kid, and I had a cousin that was going through hers, and it's just a different person. And my grandpa said, this is something that, the women have to go through and you have to respect them. It's hard enough to be a woman. And when they go through that, and he explained it to me, that's just nothing to joke about.
Yeah.
It's part of, every transition. Male puberty is hard enough, but I take my hat off to you because there's nothing like that. So please continue.
Yeah, no. So
no, I don't know this. I don't know.
Okay, no, that's okay. So we're going to start. So there's 4 phases. Phase 1, menstruation, menstrual cycle, the actual shedding of the uterus, not to get all TMI on you. Phase 2, follicular phase. That's like days, basically like 8 through 15. And then ovulatory phase, which is day 15 through 20, which is when you're ovulating. And then you have the luteal phase. It sounds fancy. It sounds French. Luteal. And that's one, Dobie, you can make a joke to me there if you wanted. But it's okay. Day 21 through day...
I'll pick where the jokes go. Not yet.
Sensitive in today's world.
I'll hit
day
you when you don't expect.
Through day 28. Yeah. And that's when basically your uterus is preparing to shed unless you're going to have a child. So, interestingly enough, the insulin resistance goes like a roller coaster through all these phases.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start with the first one. But before we start, there's like 4 main hormones involved in a menstrual cycle. the fertility cycle. And that's progesterone, estrogen, luteinizing hormone, and follicular stimulating hormone.
Boy.
So basically, out of those 28 days, which is it's a 28-day cycle, for those of you that don't know, but also it can range. Like some people have a period every 5 weeks, some people get a period every 2 weeks. But a standard normal menstrual cycle period and cycle is 28 days.
Wow, it's if I was on Jeopardy, I would lose this. This is the topic.
You would lose it? I feel like you
Yeah.
win it, no?
No, I'd lose. Estrogen's the only one of those four that I knew.
Why? Because someone will be like, she's got a lot of estrogen.
Estrogen, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. So, okay. So then the thing with really quick with periods though, and like menstrual cycle, I say period. I know people are like, that's not accurate. That's not PC, but whatever. So, period time, it affects so much. Like it affects my mood. It'll be like a random day. And I just want to be a roaring biatch or bish, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to freak out. Oh my gosh. And it's not just because my hormones, it's because my numbers now are like 400. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to have a freak out.
This is unfair because this is really messing your body like the wheel of fortune. It's spinning in every direction. So not only is your diabetes affected, your body is. I'm really more sympathetic to women after hearing this.
Oh yes, you get ready. So phase 1, menstrual cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, during this time, your body you're going to probably need to decrease your insulin. You might still be insulin resistant during your period, but a lot of times, because your progesterone and estrogen are extremely low because they drop off and that's when you shed, you're extra insulin sensitive. So at that point, you could eat more carbs and you're not going to be as insulin resistant during that time. But that's the time that you're actually, not to be TMI, but you're actually bleeding. You're shedding. So with that case, that's basically your blood sugar levels are not going to be as high. And it could be high the first 2 or 3 days of the period, but typically after like that second or third day, it's going to drop off. Then you move on to the follicular phase. And the follicular phase is what I said, it's day like 8 through 14, 15. And it's about when you're like preparing for ovulation. So your body's like getting ready. You're like, okay, here we go. I'm about to ovulate an egg. And this is when estrogen and testosterone are at their peak. And yes, women have testosterone.
Okay.
Pretty crazy.
A lot of women I know do. That toilet seat's up when they come out of the bathroom.
It's pretty good. So, I mean,
there's a joke for you. That's
I liked that one. So, yes, basically, this is like the point that you're preparing for ovulation and your estrogen levels are like peaking. They are screaming at you like, oh my gosh. And your insulin needs will probably normalize, but they will start to increase towards the end of this follicular phase. So day like 12 through 14, you'll probably start to see it. But the first couple days, they're back to normal. And this is like the peak for a diabetic, a female diabetic, that you're like, yes, please get me the follicular phase because that's when your blood sugar is pretty much normalized. And then ovulation comes and you're like, frick me, this sucks.
Bunch of shiz.
Months of shiz. That's the follicular phase. And then you move on to the ovulatory phase, which is my least favorite.
It's everybody's least favorite.
I do.
Around the world and around the block. That's the one everybody's on edge.
Yeah, no. And after, in like the second half of this, we'll go through like different exercises and like nutrition needs that are the best for managing these. But right now I just want to explain them. So continuing, now we have the ovulation phase, which, you just got to love it, right? And basically this is like, it could be day 15 through 20, day 14 through 18. But this is the middle of the entire menstrual cycle. And this is when you start spiking in your luteinizing hormone levels. For me personally, this phase has an extremely large effect on my blood sugars. I'm extremely insulin resistant. So I'll have a story after this, but your progesterone's rising, your estrogen's rising. So my insulin resistance is like crazy. And I kind of have to increase my insulin. Or there's just 2 days that I'm like 300.
So do you feel this coming? Or you just, I got to believe by now you can go by intuition. You know it's here.
Yeah. So I'm on progestin only birth control.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on it because, like I've said before, I have been insulin resistant. And it was something that I just was one of those lucky 1 out of 5 type 1s that got it. And so my hormones make my blood sugars go crazy, Dobie, like literally crazy. Like I will be 350 and I can't come down.
Mhm.
So
Even with exercise.
So what's interesting is that it has a role, which I'll talk about in a second. But basically, like the reason I went on this is because there's no estrogen, the birth control I'm on.
Mhm.
So it shouldn't cause spikes because a lot of times birth control with like estrogen can cause spikes. And it kind of like suppresses your estrogen, which I need because I have the PCOS, which is called polycystic ovarian syndrome, except I have it not like actual cysts. I have like the adrenal one where basically I get the same symptoms, but my adrenal glands are just overworking. So I went on this so that it would keep my hormone levels a little better. And it does. So for me, I know on day 10 and 11 of the pill, which is different than a regular menstrual cycle, that's when I'm hitting my ovulation. So here's where my story comes in. Yesterday and the day before that, I was riding a little higher. And yesterday was the worst day. I woke up, I was high, but I was like, hey, it's fine. I took 3 units. I had my smoothie bowl and I skyrocketed to 450.
Yikes.
Within 10 minutes. Let me tell you that part.
That's frightening. And that didn't scare you? It scares me hearing that.
I was kind of just like, what the frick? Because
Yeah.
the day before my numbers were high, but I was like, this doesn't make sense. I've literally taken so much insulin. I don't understand. I worked out. Like, what's going on? So I thought I was sick. Still, I'm a little sick. But I thought, okay, maybe I have COVID, right? Like maybe that's why my numbers are so high. So I took a COVID test yesterday because I woke up, I went to 400. I stayed at 400 and I took so much insulin. It was like, I just took a whole gallon of insulin and poured it in me. It was like, literally, it was probably
super size
it was. That's what she said. I'm kidding. So I took like so much insulin, didn't work. I stayed at 400 till 2:00 from 10 a.m. Couldn't come down. I hopped on the elliptical at my house. I came down to 200 after 45 minutes with a ton of insulin. So exercise brought it down.
Mhm.
The second I stopped, it went back up to 330. I went to the gym. I worked out and did like a walk run every other minute. And right away, I basically was like, okay, it's fine. And it dropped to 150. And the second I stopped working out after, it skyrocketed to 360.
Wow.
Hey, Dobie, you look like you're about to drop after your walk. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, Sami. Just always feeling so overly tired and dehydrated every day.
Well, then you got to try hydrogen water. It's water with increased levels of hydrogen molecules, which helps keep you hydrated and has numerous antioxidant benefits.
Hydrogen water? I've been hearing a lot about the many health benefits of hydrogen water, and I've been meaning to check it out.
I like to take it with me whenever I go to the gym.
I think I'll start to take it on my daily walks.
I mean, why drink regular water when you can drink water with all the top health benefits?
Boost your strength and energy. Try hydrogen water today.
Order now at hydrogenwaterhpl.com.
The Diabetes app is an online community platform that was created to help people living with diabetes find support and information in one spot.
On the Diabetes app, you can join groups and connect with other people all over the world and find tips that actually make a difference.
And now, while you're using the app, you can collect points and earn rewards.
Wait, you're confusing me. What do you mean?
What I mean is the Diabetes app now gives you points anytime you like, comment, or post. You can collect these points and exchange them for rewards. We're talking promo codes, accessories, and more free gifts.
Whoa, I like the sound of that. So you're saying I can earn free rewards just for doing what I already do?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Keep using the Diabetes app, connect with others, find tips, and get rewarded for doing so. Your life is a roller coaster.
That's how it feels. Like, and I don't mean this in like a poor me way, but I will say because I've been insulin resistant, like yesterday, I literally was 400 all day. And it took me 2 workouts, so basically 2 hours, which is fine. It wasn't a big deal because I'm used to working out a lot. But like, I had the thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I literally just want to crawl into a ball because I was like, it sucked. And I did not feel good already. And then this made me feel 10 times worse. And I thought it was because I was sick. And then last night, randomly after dinner, I was high, like literally 380. And then it just dropped off and I went to 50.
Oh, man.
And that's how I knew it was hormones. And I was ovulating. And so that's why I say the ovulation phase is not that fun. And it can cause, for me, a lot of insulin resistance. And then you get, really quick, last phase is the luteal phase. And that's phase 4. And that's basically when you're like, your uterus lining is growing thick again. And you're also insulin resistant during this phase. So from ovulation to your menstrual cycle, you're kind of resistant. And then right before your period actually starts, all your hormones drop off again. So basically from ovulation through luteal phase, a lot of women need more insulin needs, which is not the most fun.
And they might not exercise as vigorously as you. And that's not any offense to anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's what's really tough for me because I put it on my Instagram story where I was like, I literally showed a graph where I went, I stopped working out and it literally went straight up to 346 within 5 minutes. And I was like, I just started crying and I was like, I just want to die. I was being really dramatic, but I was like, I just want to die and crawl into a ball. I'm so over this.
And stop playing the D card. This one is just legit.
Oh, this was like legit. Like my
parents. I'm just hearing about it. It's legit. Okay, I'm on your side.
Yeah. Like it was my time that I was like, this is the worst day ever. And I got really nauseous trying to work out because I think when I was like 500 probably, which you're not supposed to work out that high, but I took insulin and was drinking water. So I was like, I know that this is the only thing that's going to help a little to at least come down for like 30 minutes, which it brought me down, but it brought me down so fast that I got really nauseous. So then I wanted to throw up and I was like, oh my God, today's not my day.
Well, it affects your food schedule too, does it not? I'm sure it does. If you're nauseous, you're not hungry.
I woke up excruciatingly hungry because last night I had a salad with like a little bit of quinoa, but like that was it. And I'm so hungry. I'm like, oh my gosh.
What does it for you on a plant-based diet? I mean, to me, I'm thinking, okay, steak. But for you, what's gonna...
Yeah, that's the tricky part on the plant-based diet.
That is very tricky.
I'm curious really quick. In terms of like the menstrual cycle, like what would a guy think? I mean, I know that guys with diabetes don't have to deal with that much hormonally. But like, do you think there's anything that could make an impact on blood sugars for a guy going through puberty, basically?
Oh, boy, I would have no idea. It's been so long ago and I didn't have diabetes when I was going through it.
But when you went through it, was there something that you were like, oh, I just don't feel good or oh, I'm in a mood?
Not even close. I'm sorry.
Nothing?
No, I'm sorry. I just, you want to be around anything female. And that's me. Not every guy feels that way, but I did.
Yeah.
A whole different thing. I can't even go in there because no woman will have sympathy for a guy. Thank you for bringing that up out of respect. But this is your thing. You're in a deep thing. So now you're going through all this. You're hungry. Your blood sugar spiking. What do you do? And what do you do? What does another woman, the listener, do?
I put on my story and a bunch of people were responding like, this has happened to me. It's terrible. I literally stay at 300 for 3 days. And it just sucks. And sometimes like you just kind of want to hear someone be like, that sucks. Because I think there's a lot of times that people are like, but at least you have this or at least this. And I'm like, no, today just sucks. And today my blood sugars are high. I feel like shiz. And I am just not a happy camper. And I think like the thing for me is there's definitely, so there's different like things that you can do. So to help you. And that's like different exercises. So like during the menstrual phase, like the actual menstrual phase, like I would say for physical wellness, like first off, women in general kind of should listen to their body during their period in general because you're more fatigued and lower energy. So I like to say walking's the best thing. You're also insulin sensitive, so the urgency to do like a HIIT workout or a long run is not there. But I would say like light exercise or none at all during a period kind of makes most sense. However, in terms of like the ovulation phase, which to me is the most insulin resistant, I would say like you're going to feel very energetic because you have a lot of hormones going on, which I do. But you're going to need to do like heavy cardio and heavy high intensity exercises to try to burn through the glucose. At least for me. Again, not a medical professional. This is just my experience. I've had it for a long time. That's what I've noticed. For the follicular phase, like I would say, which again, the follicular phase is right for the ovulation phase. So for a lot of people, like they would say, try to do like jogging runs because it's right when your hormones are pretty good during that time again. So it's right before you're about to be insulin resistant. So like hiking, light runs, yoga, cardio classes. But for me, I'm just really heavy on exercise during my insulin resistant time. And I drink a ton of water. I had someone ask me, does water make a difference? Yes, it does. Even if it's 20 points.
What does it do?
It basically dilutes.
Oh, it gets your blood sugar down?
Yeah, it like dilutes your blood sugar. So it's not as high because when you're dehydrated, your body's like stressed out. You're holding on to more sodium. There's a lot of stuff you're holding on to. So by drinking water, you're flushing it out and diluting it.
Dumb question. Would a type 2 woman have a different set of circumstances than a type 1 woman as yourself? Or is it pretty similar?
So interestingly enough, I've looked at that because I was kind of curious and I was like, huh. And to me, because both cases have to do with insulin resistance, it's going to be the same. The only difference is that, like, I would assume with type 2, because they're not taking, I mean, mind you, they could be taking insulin, like insulin dependent, but that kind of turns into type 1 then. But if they're just taking like a medication and they're just more resistant, they're probably going to control it more through food, not insulin, obviously. So I would say they're going to have the same hormone levels, exact same hormone levels, all that. But they're going to control it more through food and exercise. Whereas like a type 1, you for sure will try to control it through that, like I do. But you have to just pound insulin in.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I just wanted to make sure that listeners would distinguish that because I'm not a doctor. I don't want to say, well, this is what I think.
No, totally.
Okay, good. Came from you. That's great.
Yeah, but I think what's interesting too is like, it's not something that you like get a break.
No.
Like at all. Like it just keeps repeating. And the days that I'm like, oh my God, I was 80 all day. I'm like a little kid that went to Disneyland.
So you're thrilled about that, but then when it's 300.
Yeah, I'm like stoked.
But it's a roller coaster. Then it's 300 and you're on oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Yeah. And I think it's just, it can be really hard. And like, there's different apps that people can use to like follow. Like there's this app that I use that was called Flow app, which is great. But also like for me being on the pill, like that's what made a big difference. It can be detrimental to your blood sugars. So for me, going on the progestin only pill has helped a lot. It's just, you kind of have to learn your body. And it's frustrating because there's a lot of times that you're like, I don't think I'm ovulating. Why am I high? But there's a random probably surge of hormones. Like I could have a surge of progesterone. It's just like, whoa. And I'm like, whoa.
I think you just hit it there. You got to learn your body. And it's a lab for all of us. Male, female, type 1, type 2, younger, older, it changes, it evolves. This is not easy. Whoever gave us this diabetes shiz was not kidding around. This is no kid's game.
I know. Like I remember one period I had when I was like in high school, I was like 65 the whole time. And I never experienced that. I thought I just went high. And then I found out that you can also go low, like during a menstrual cycle. And I was low the whole time. So I had to like try to keep myself at like 80 because I couldn't stay above like 60. Like it's just a guessing game.
I got to believe now when a woman gets pregnant, and eventually I'm sure you will, that's going to be really off the charts. Now it's like all bets are off.
Oh my gosh. At that point, I'm like, I said, when I'm pregnant, I will be doing nothing but looking at my blood sugars. I better start saving now.
That's what I mean. It's like you got to take 9 months off and it's just like hanging out.
Well, yeah, because that has a big role and you have so many hormones, which I think for like me personally, I'm like, I'll for sure go on like a continuous insulin pump at that point so that I can hopefully try to keep it under control. But it's just so tricky, Well,
this whole thing is tricky.
Yeah. But also it's kind of like everybody has something, everybody deals with something. And I think it builds resilience.
Well, it sure does for your man. I mean, it's like, I can believe every woman I've been around that's gone through that. It's like, okay, I'm going to try to say something that I think might be, and to get the cat claws coming out. It's like, ooh, that was a wrong guess. So as a woman, what can you say to anybody that comes in your world at that time? Because I think a lot, especially men, we take it personally because no offense, we don't go through that. Other women would know how to act. What can we do to just...
I think for starters, like...
Yeah.
Not even in general. This is like not talking about the menstrual cycle in general. Because as much as I'm like totally understand, like we have hormones and can get moody, but also like that's part of life and you have to learn to like manage that and you can't use that as an excuse. Like I'm on my period, so I can be a total bitch. But in terms of diabetes, if somebody's like, what's going on? Like, why, or why do you seem in a bad mood? It's kind of like, I'm really insulin resistant right now. I'm dealing with my menstrual cycle and my blood sugars and I'm really overwhelmed. And like as a guy, that's when you're just like, what can I do to help?
You could walk off the face of the earth. You can leave.
What can you do to help? Can you just leave me that frick alone?
Yeah, I think women should have like a size differentiation of red flags just to be put in the room. So when a guy walks past, a little red flag, maybe you can talk to her. A bigger red flag, it's like proceed with caution. The big one, like with football games, when they go in the middle of the field, that big red flag, stay out of the zip code until she's done. Till she tells you.
Yes, it's true. And so that's why I'm like, It's tricky, but
It is tricky.
it's also one of those things that no matter what, every woman deals with it, and it's part of the learning and growing, you know?
And every man indirectly deals with it too. So by the clock on the wall, I was nervous about this one. Thanks for making it easy for me to listen to it. I'm sure everybody
I
will
hope
get
I
something out
did.
of it. What you totally did. What is the question of the pod today?
All right. Well, I think our question of the pod should be, when do your blood sugars go high during your menstrual cycle? Or not menstrual cycle, but like the whole fertility cycle. So the 28-day cycle. When do your blood sugars go high? Sorry, guys, this is not going to apply to you. But for all my girlies out there, all the galleys, when do your blood sugars go high during the menstrual cycle?
So, guys, if you have another episode that you like, you can answer the question of the pod twice.
Absolutely.
To make up for it. Now, how do people find us?
You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at JustMyTypePod _ Facebook at JustMyTypePod, and our hashtag JustMyTypePod. And again, please give us a 5-star rating and review to get the diabetes community together and chatting. But please, ladies, women, men, please share this episode because I think it's important. And it's something I did not know until I finally got my menstrual cycle. And shout out to my doctor for not telling me. So
it was educational and informal, and we are well on our way to 1 million listeners. Thanks always to our pod squad, Queen Elizabeth, always keeping us up to date, ready to rock, and also our intern, Zach. And thank you for listening. Sami, let's put that sugar-free cherry on the Healthy Sunday one more time.
C'est la vie, baby.
This is the Just My Type podcast.